we now pause to introduce. It's real talk. They've been through it all. Divorces, single parenting. They cry, they laugh, they deal with real issues, learn to love. Now tell me that would make a difference.
Hello, my name is Mary Holiday, and I'm Pastor Damon Holiday's mother. When you have been grounded in the Word and you have faith, terrible things can happen to you, but nothing changes your character. Your character is strengthened by hardships, trials, and tribulations. And that's why I dedicated this book. And I started off with the story of my grandmother, Lillian Pitts, who was raped by a white man. And my mother was a result of that rape. But because my grandmother was such a strong Christian woman, she raised my mother to be a strong woman of faith. She told my mother that you had nothing to do with the way you were conceived. You were born and you were put here for a purpose. And that's what she tried to bring out in my mother and show my mother. And my mother passed it on to me, and I've tried to pass it on to my children. What they say, you put a tea bag in hot water and it gets stronger. The hotter the water, the stronger it gets. And so I think that because I was born into such a strong Christian family, that when hardships came, I was able to endure and withstand. And I knew what I was supposed to do to make it and to survive and to provide for my children.
My name is Kelly Elmore. My life before Christ was really a hot mess. I pretty much was doing whatever I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, and if it wasn't my way, it wasn't going to happen. What transitioned me to accepting Christ was my divorce. I was lost, didn't know what to do, didn't have no control over it, and friends invited me to church, and I don't know, it changed my perspective on life, on what we needed to do, what I needed to do for my girls, for myself. It made me start to see who more value in me, and as I've gotten stronger, it's also made me want to help other women, not just going through divorce, but just going through anything that makes them feel less valued as a human being, period. Not just women, but just as human beings, just help them to be stronger, understand what the Lord really wants us to do. And I see so many women struggling daily, just living their life just how I was before I accepted Christ, and just seeing the destruction that they're headed toward. And my journey now and my focus now is to make sure that I do everything I possibly can to get women to understand their value in Christ and what God has really got for them, for their future.
My life before Christ was it was like a rough road for me. I was young before I accepted Christ. I was 10 years old. But before that, I had always had trouble trying to define myself and define who I was. I was kind of lost in my faith, my walk with Christ. When I was little, I was adopted at 10 before I even accepted Christ. But before then, I had always questioned who I was and who I came from, and how my family was or who my birth mom was. And then it was just a rough road for me, and I always questioned. I was always down, always sad about it, because everybody else had this normal, what you call a normal life or normal siblings, and I always had my siblings that are separated. And so when I was 10, I I accepted Christ into my life, and I was with my cousin and my grandmother. I did it at my grandmother's church. And ever since then, of course, it's been a rough road for me to stay on track. But as I get older, and as I gotten older, I turned about 16, I started to really just focus more on who he was and who I was, and just putting all like my worries and anxiety onto him. And so now I'm 17, about to turn 18, and I'm leaving for college soon. So now I'm focusing more on just rededicating my life to him and just making my walk with Christ stronger.
But being a single parent, that was hard.
Growth. I guess that would be the best way to describe where I'm going.
I have a testimony because I was tested.
And you can do anything through Christ who gives you strength, and he's just very powerful. And if you have any worries or anything like anxiety or stress or anything, you just cast it all upon him because he can take it all.